And welcome back. Today we are going to be talking about blending some colored pencils. But first we're going to talk a little bit about the paper itself. Now on the paper it has what we call tooth, or it's the texture of the paper. When you look under paper in a microscope, it's going to have little bitty divots like this where there's little pockets where color can go into. And when we take a pencil and we drag that colored pencil across it, it puts pigment on the page because it hits those little ridges and it deposits that pigment in there. So when you drag your pencil across, it puts it on one side, and then when you go back across the other way, it gets a little bit deeper. Now, when we go to put our colored pencils down, we want to build our color up in layers. We don't want to take it and just grind it down and get a really heavy, bright color to where it looks really heavy, dark like this. Because if we go to put another color over the top of it, we're not going to be able to see anything, because you've taken that pencil and you've drug it across so heavily and filled all those holes in, so that way when the pencil goes across the page, it just kind of skims over the top and you're not able to actually deposit any more material down on the page. So what we're going to do is we're going to take color and we're going to very lightly put down a layer of color. That's going to be our first one, and then our second color is going to go right up next to that, and it's going to overlap. We want our colors to overlap so that way we can get that nice transition from one color to the next. And then if we need to, we can go back the other way to hit the other angle of those little pockets on that paper and get that color to blend in a little bit more. Now, some papers have a lot more texture than others. A watercolor paper is going to have a lot more texture than, say, this paper here, which is an 80-pound paper. And some papers don't have any pockets on them at all, like a piece of poster board. One side is really smooth and works really well with color, with markers or anything that's wet. But if you go to try to blend something like a crayon or a colored pencil on it, it doesn't work very well. But if you flip that poster board over and use the other side to where it is got a little bit more roughness to it or a little bit more tooth, then the colored pencil will apply on there very easily. Now, some colors like this yellow, you have to be very, very careful with that darker color, because the yellow is very light and it doesn't like to cover up those darker colors. So you need to make that nice even transition and kind of overlap a little bit more like this. Now, what we're going to do today is we're going to work on these letters here. We're going to start with the darkest color down here on the bottom. Today we're using a poppy red, we're using an orange, and we're using a canary yellow. And these are all Prismacolors. These are the Premier editions. Alright, so I'm going to start with my lightest color. And with light colored pencils, just like I said, they won't cover up a colored pencil very well, so that means they won't also cover up a pencil line. So we're going to erase that pencil line like that, come back in, get this layered in here, and get this color put down. Now, I'm going to overlap a little bit more than what I want to, so that way I get that first layer down, so that way I can come back in with the orange and I can layer that over the top. Now up here, where I want this very tip to be yellow, I'm just going to very, very lightly drag this orange over the top of it, so that way it just covers it up just a little tiny bit. And then I come back with the yellow. I'm going to go over that just a little bit more. I'm going to try and push this orange up so that I have just a tiny bit of yellow up here at the top. Alright, I'm going to bring this down and come down into the top of the letter, or in this case the bottom of the letter, and get a layer there, and then come back in here with my red. I'm going to go a little bit different direction here just to hit the other side of that pocket of the tooth and get this filled in, and go a little bit heavier here and then lighten up, kind of go up like this. Right, and then come back and just build another layer over the top, and it's just a matter of getting layer upon layer upon layer until you have the nice creamy color that you want to have. Now, sometimes it's going to take a little bit more depending on what colors you're using, sometimes a little bit less. And again, depending on what brand colored pencil you have, it might work a little bit easier or it might be a little more difficult. But ultimately, we don't want to just go in and just push really hard, because that's going to fill that up and it's not going to let you get any more color layered over the top. Bring this up, get a little bit more color put into it like this, and then bring this orange down into the red just to get that transition to be a little bit more. And that's your basic way to blend colors, and hopefully you have good success with this. Thank you.